Hey there, friends. Welcome back to Ketamine Connections. I'm your host, Anna Krishtal, and today we are chilling out with a nice warm cup of tea. We're coming out of eclipse season. We're taking it slow today. And we're also diving into a really essential part of the psychedelic process. My favorite, actually. The least sexiest, as you'll come to see in this episode. We're diving into integration. So we're chatting about ketamine integration versus psychedelic integration. And part of it, we'll talk about what they are, how they are, why it matters for your lifelong journey of becoming the person you truly want to be. Now, before I get into all of the juicy details, maybe you're new here, welcome, or maybe you missed one of the earlier episodes. It's all good. I've got you covered. We're talking about in the past, we talked about the importance of preparation before diving into any psychedelic experience, and that includes ketamine for sure. With preparation, it's all pretty much the same across the board. You want to set intentions, create a safe space, know how to approach the journey, know what to do if there is anything difficult that comes up. And of course, respecting in that preparation process, respecting the number one rule of psychedelic use, which is set and setting. Welcome. If you missed that episode or you would like a refresher on that episode, go ahead and head over to episode number 6 called Preparing for Your Ketamine Journey, or How to Prepare for Your Ketamine Journey. It's all there, and soak in the goodness. It's a great episode. Honestly, preparation is one of my favorite topics. It's where I get to teach about the subconscious mind. I have a workshop coming up that I'm super excited to share with you, where I talk about the subconscious mind and really explain to you what it is. Those details will drop as soon as they're ready, probably in the show notes. Actually, by the time this episode airs, they will be ready. So go ahead and sign up for that workshop. It's the first time I'm doing it in this way, so it's actually going to be the cheapest rate. It'll keep going up from there, and it's really cool. I'll introduce the subconscious mind, give you a lowdown of everything you need to know about the subconscious mind, and talk about the power of subliminal recordings and affirmations. And then we're going to make your own affirmations, and then you will send that information to me, and my team and I will put that into a subliminal recording that you'll get to keep forever with your own affirmations. It's so cool. I'm so excited. Peep the show notes. It should be in there by the time this episode airs. Anyways, today, we are talking about what happens after the trip, after the dust settles. The visions fade, and you're left with all of these mind-blowing, amazing, life-changing insights. What do you do with them? You integrate them. That's where integration comes in. And let me tell you, this is the real work. This is where the magic actually happens. Otherwise, you're chasing insights, and education is not action, right? You maybe know what you need to do with or without psychedelic guidance, with or without the pattern interrupt that psychedelics offer. But when you actually start to do those actions, that's where the magic really happens. Okay, let me break it down, because here's a fun tip. The word integrate. Let's start there, right? Where do we start with integration? Let's start with the word itself. I'm such a word nerd. Integrate literally means to make whole. So for my Spanish speakers out there, what do we have? We have pan integral, right? Whole wheat bread. Sorry, I just had to put a bread joke in there. So picture this. You've had this amazing ketamine experience, maybe a different psychedelic experience. You've cracked wide open. You've seen parts of yourself that you maybe have never seen or haven't seen in the longest time. All of these different neural networks are talking to each other. If you don't know what neural networks are, hit me up. Come to the workshop. I'll teach you all about neural networks. They're talking in different ways. Maybe you even got glimpses of this amazing future. I know I have, of this amazing future that I could live into if I do the work, right? If I actually take the steps towards that future. We're not going to get into quantum physics today, but that's part of the process, honestly, is realizing there's so many multiple realities happening at the same time. And the way that you take steps towards one is the reality that you end up living into. But let's save that for another day. So what is good is that insight? Truly, like an insight alone without integrating it into your daily life, into your actions, into who you are, not really worth much, my friends. That's what integration is all about. It's about taking the insights, taking that excitement, taking the newfound potential and weaving it into the fabric of your being. And also, I really believe that there's so much power in feeling the way that you do on psychedelics and bringing those feelings, right? Not just the insights, not just the visions, not just the steps forward, but also a lot of the time you're feeling a certain way. You're having a visceral, embodied experience of something through the psychedelic journey, through ketamine, whatever it is, that is different than things that you feel in your everyday life. And you can bring that into your everyday life too. You can integrate feelings just as much as action steps or practical ways forward. Because otherwise, it's cool. You got some cosmic downloads. Now what? Integration is about becoming the person your psychedelics showed you is possible, feeling the way that you felt on the psychedelics that showed you that's possible. I've had a lot of clients report that of, wow, I really want to feel more of that. It's not about just feeling amazing in the journey, right? The integration is what keeps you from thinking that the psychedelics are the only way to feel that way, right? It's about making those realizations stick. It's about making the realizations who you are, your whole being, your integral part, being, self, whatever you want to say. It's about taking those pieces and patching them into your quilt, right? Oh, I found this little square here in my ketamine journey. Let me bring it, let me patch it into who I am. And that is honestly really freaking cool. You don't leave the breakthroughs on the trip. You bring them home. You set them up. You invite them to stay. Integration is the lifelong process of becoming. And I think that's why I say it's less sexy, because it's a lifelong process. And also, just so you know, without it, you're going to keep chasing the insights. You're going to keep chasing the highs. And I'll tell you purely from personal experience, I have other anecdotal experience, but let me stick to my own for just this moment, that when the medicine gives me a clear action step or something to do, and life happens and I'm like, oh, I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing. Let me go back to the medicine. And then I do. The medicine's not happy. The medicine's, we already told you and you're not doing it. And sometimes it's because whatever that insight is, I'm like, oh, that's too simple. That can't be. It usually is. And for me, if I'm not doing what this in the past, and I don't do this anymore because I've had experiences in the past, and one of two things has happened for me. If I get insights or action steps forward and I'm not taking them and I go back to the medicine, one is just I'm staring into the back of my eyelids. Nothing's happening. The medicine's, bitch, we fucking told you. Do I curse on here? Now I do. The medicine's, oh, you didn't hear me last time? Let me re-show you why that's the insight. Let me have you relive this painful, in the past, painful previous journey that got you to that insight. Let me remind you why this was here in the first place. And I just don't recommend it. I really don't. And integration is how you make sure that that doesn't happen. It's how you make sure that the insights that you receive from the medicine, from your journey, stays fresh. Because when you are integrating them, now you're a different person, right? Your whole being is different. And you're coming to the medicine as a different whole entity. And then you're getting fresh insights. You're getting fresh steps forward. You're getting fresh messages, fresh ways of moving forward because you're moving forward. Capiche? Okay. So yeah, whether you're working with ketamine or other psychedelics, it's a really similar process because it's about becoming the vision that you saw in the journey. It's, building the bridge, right? The integration part is, okay, here's where I stand. Here's my past self. Here's where I'm coming from. And there's the insight. There's the future. There's where I want to go. And integration is building that bridge from the past to your becoming. And you're doing so in practical ways. You're creating lasting change in your life. Again, not the sexiest thing. We live in a society of montages, right? We all want this montage. We all want, this winter arc. Let me just disappear for 3 months and come back a brand new person that nobody recognizes, which, by the way, I feel like there's an episode for me coming up on that, because the winter arc is not it, y'all. And I'm happy to break it down to you from a really practical standpoint, from a subconscious standpoint, from a trauma healing standpoint. That's really just not it. More to come on that. But yeah, you're not integrating if you are separating. Let's just put it that way for now. Oh, wow. I'm really on one tonight, huh? Where's my tea? Let me take a sip and recenter. All right. So I was telling you that the integration is building the bridge from the past to the future, to who you were, to who you're becoming. It gets to be exciting. It gets to be fun. If you know what you're doing, if you know how the subconscious mind works, if you know how change works, if you know how transformation works, it can actually be exciting. I pinky promise you that. And if you're not into that and you just want to get high, like, all good, truly. I think the medicine has different purposes, and I think getting high and just like having a good time is one of them, but that's just not what this podcast is about. That's not what we're talking about here on Ketamine Connections. We are talking about turning the psychedelic high into a whole life high. That's what we're all about here through integration. I'm just going to say integration. All right. This topic of integration, it's not so well spoken about. We're a society, aside from movie montages and fast forwarding, time lapsing the process, we also are like into these big explosive moments and things like that, which is the psychedelic ceremony itself. But we're going to bring this to the show. We're going to talk about integration, because if you're here on Ketamine Connections, you are interested in psychedelics transforming your life, right? And if you want psychedelics to transform your life, you want them to transform your subconscious mind. And there are so many ways to do that. And yes, it can happen like that. And it can happen over time. And it can happen in 100 other ways that are so unique to you, because you are a special snowflake, and your integration process is going to be your own special snowflake. And this episode is really just the beginning, is setting the stage, because coming up in future episodes, I'm going to be bringing in all sorts of people to talk about their personal integration work. We're going to talk to professionals who work with different integration modalities. We've got other integration coaches lined up. We've got breathwork facilitators. We've got sound healers. We've got all sorts of people that will be diving deep into all different modalities that can help you in your integration process, because it's going to be unscripted. It's not a math formula. I wish it was, truly, for myself and for you and for the world. But it's not. And so we're going to be diving deep into all different modalities so that you have options, so that that if you hate journaling, you can integrate through sound healing. If you fall asleep in sound healing, then you can go to breath work. If breath work is too intense for you, then you can meditate. There are so many different paths up the integration mountain. And that's what I really want to bring to the show, is the conversation about integration, and also give you a chance to explore how many freaking cool modalities there are. And that's what this episode is about. It's about introducing that, because I'll tell you this, any solid practice psychedelic practitioner who's actually changed their life through psychedelics and isn't just like sitting ceremony every month and still a douche. Anyone else know that guy? I do. Several of them, actually. But integration is where the magic happens. You can have the wildest, most transformative trip ever, but if you don't take it home with you, if you don't integrate it, if you don't take the time to weave it, that little not tapestry, what is it called? Quilt, that quilt square, right? You want to weave that quilt square into the quilt of your life. You're just getting high. And again, there's nothing wrong with getting high, but that's not why you're here to transform your life. So integration is the topic. It's even becoming more mainstream. I've seen media catching on. I definitely have read articles from Double Blind magazine about it. And, I've seen other psychedelic focused outlets talking about this, because this is, again, it's where the magic happens. It's where you go from substance use to life transformation. And the conversation's catching up, because guess what? It's the most important part. All right. So one other topic, quickie, that I want to lay out here, because, the episode title said the distinction between psychedelic integration and ketamine integration. So let me take a moment and speak to that and let you know that it's much more common with other psychedelics to have one big journey. Maybe it's one big journey, or maybe it's like a weekend of 1, 2, 3 journeys, or even like a week away. Whatever it is, with other psychedelics, it's more common to have the ceremonies more close together. They're more combined into a short amount of time. And with ketamine, it's a little bit different. You're signing up for multiple journeys, I hope. There are clinics that offer single journeys, but the magic number that's been shown over and over again is somewhere between 6 to 10 journeys. So most ketamine protocols are 6 journeys over several weeks. And there are clinics that offer 3 journeys or 10 journeys. Again, everyone's finding different paths up the mountain, but it means that your integration process is ongoing and it's a bit more stretched out, and therefore requires more patience on your behalf. It also means that you are probably still in the context of your everyday life, and you're experiencing these extraordinary states of consciousness in between your work life, your family life, and that makes it a little bit different. So the point is, you're not making sense of one big trip like you would be with a different psychedelic. You've got a whole series of sessions to work through, and the real integration, in my personal experience and my belief, is that begins after you've completed your entire schedule. And this can be tricky because a lot of times clients want to make sense of your experience immediately. And with ketamine, you're really in a more gradual, layered process. You're peeling back those layers over time, and the insights don't always reveal themselves after just one session. You have to stay patient. You have to trust that the wisdom is coming, and it might take a little bit longer to gather those puzzle pieces, but it's coming. This is something that analogy that I always often use with clients, is that if you think of each ketamine journey like a puzzle piece, you're collecting enough puzzle pieces that you can start making a picture, so you can start putting them together. And until you have puzzle pieces, your job is to collect puzzle pieces. That's the goal. It can be annoying, but it can also be really cool if you muster up enough patience to actually trust the process. I know. So you can think of this episode as an appetizer, a little snack before the feast of knowledge that is coming your way regarding psychedelic integration. It's definitely not a one and done thing. It's a lifelong process of becoming whole and taking those little nuggets of wisdom and really letting them, they're like popcorn. They're going to pop at different times, and letting them do that throughout your whole life. That's where you start to see real lasting change. And it's what keeps, it's what allows you to make change rather than having to come back to the medicine over and over again for some just like weird form of spiritual escapism. So over the next few weeks, and honestly for the duration of this whole show, we're going to be diving into specific integration practices. I'm excited for the guests that I have coming up to share their insights and experiences. We're talking about it all. And in the meantime, I don't know, maybe you take this episode as a little nudge to reflect on your own integration process. What have you learned so far? How are you doing? How are you making these lessons a part of your everyday life? And if you're not sure where to start, stay tuned. We got plenty of tools, tips, and support coming your way. And also check out that workshop in the show notes. I'm super excited to bring some subliminal work to the internet space. And that is all. That's all I have for you today. If you're enjoying the show, thank you. First of all, real labor of love over here. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and share this episode with a friend who could use a little integration magic in their life. And yeah, check out all the links in the show notes. There's a link there to submit questions or comments. Please leave a review. Please keep coming back. And I'll see you next time on Ketamine Connections, where we stay curious. Bye. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Ketamine Connections. I hope you found our discussion insightful and empowering. Remember that understanding the subconscious mind and how to make the most of ketamine therapy can truly transform someone's healing journey. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to share it with your friends and family and anyone who might benefit from this information. So few people considering ketamine therapy are fully educated about its potential and the impact that it has on the subconscious mind. Your share could be the key element to their transformation. Don't forget to subscribe to Ketamine Connections so that you never miss an episode. And if you have a moment, I absolutely adore reading your reviews. So your feedback really helps me feel like this is an engaging exercise. Otherwise, I just feel like I'm talking into empty internet space. So your review really helps light me up and also helps me reach more audience. So I would appreciate one if you're willing. And please use the link below to submit any questions or topics that you would like covered. I cannot wait to hear from you and to co-create this journey together. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and embrace the possibilities that are available in this moment right here, right now. Thanks so much. See you next time on Ketamine Connections.